All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome once again to the Loyalty and Friends Self Love Podcast. We had part two, which is just more like a brief introduction. And our sister Roeh Love, she shared with us a little bit about what she do. She is a psychic medium. She's also a life coach as well as a brand ambassador. Okay. So, yes, tap in. She can definitely, teach you the way and share a lot with you. And after we wrap this up at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be joining Clubhouse. So if you don't have Clubhouse, make sure you download it and come to the Loyalty and Friends house on Clubhouse so we can do a Q&A session, okay? It's question and answer. So we would love for you all to tap into that, okay? So on this session, I want to dive a little bit. So I got some questions for you myself. Okay. So I want to ask these questions before we transition over to Clubhouse. Okay. So, I do know that you're a psychic medium as well as a life coach. And I kind of want to know like when did you start connecting like with the spiritual world? And when did you notice that talent for yourself?
Since I was born, I have always been a participant, or I've always been in paranormal situations, like literally since birth. And that was something that my mother noticed when she had me. That's something that my mother noticed. Who's that? Oh, that's something that my mom noticed when I was born. Like, there was always like weird, spooky ghost stuff. Like, me and ghosts are friends. So, as I got older, like I was raised in a Pentecostal Christian household. So as I got older, did what my family taught me to do from a religious aspect. But over time, I felt like religion gave me a ceiling. It didn't let me go beyond. Or sometimes my talent or my gift would make members of the congregation feel uncomfortable, or sometimes jealous, things like that. Because in that in that environment, like being a prophet is like a thing. Like, it's something that is admirable. Um, I don't really like the word prophet, but I did have gifts. So I kind of noticed that some members of the church would like call me after church or during the week whenever they needed support. So that's where the life coaching thing started. And then the spiritual life, because that's where that's how I help people. I help people from a spiritual aspect, like connect with your higher self. Like, what are you hearing intuitively? What are your ancestors saying? Things like that. So this is just something like all of my talents since birth have just kind of collected, and just like over time, one day in 2019, I was like, I'm make this a company. I'm gonna do this. I think I can do it. They thought I was batshit crazy, but I did it and it worked. So yeah, it's basically something I've just been doing my entire life.
Oh,
The
wow.
visions, the coaching, talking to people, all of it.
So let's speak on some of the experiences you maybe had that kind of made you a little bit uncomfortable, because I know like when as you're connecting with different people and you're more in that spiritual realm, sometimes we can take on some of that energy or it can have a major effect on us. And have you had some situations in which, it kind of affected you in a major way and you kind of had to just reset, and what did you do to get yourself back on track?
Do you mean like in sessions with different clients, or how?
Absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, sometimes as a psychic medium, you do come across different energies, and you can't always avoid it because you never know what you're walking into when you walk in there. Um, but it's almost like being a soldier, but just in a spiritual aspect. So you protect yourself as much. I wear my protections. I have tons of protection. I have different symbols and sigils are basically like symbols for protection. They have different intentions. You can use that whenever you're going to work with different clients. But there are sometimes you come across clients that do have entities attached to them. Um, I can sense it usually when the client calls me to book, and I may not know specifically the name of the entity or the intention of the entity, but I know it's there. And I use my discernment. Like I always ask my spirit team, like, okay, should I do this session? But there are times where it can completely drain you. Like there's sometimes my phone will ring and I will look at the caller ID and I will let it go to voicemail because that is not something that I want to take on or I'm not prepared to
Mhm.
take on. But there are some clients that contact me and my spirit team says, well, you have to help them. So they provide me with that support so that I can get the job done. But yes, it does take you back and you do have to reset.
All right. And what about some situations even outside of just working with your clients that you maybe experienced? Because you definitely, hit on some things or stated that, you've always had this connection like with the spiritual world, or some people don't believe in ghosts, but, like what has some of those experiences been like outside of just dealing with your clients?
What are the experiences as far as like ghosts
Yeah,
or paranormal experience
absolutely.
outside of dealing with clients? Wow, I've never been asked that question. Um, that's a crazy question. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I may be getting like I may be getting like certain messages and certain symbols, and like not a lot of people understand it. Like not a lot of people just think I'm crazy. They'll be like, "No way!" But then something will happen in their life, and they'll be like, "Oh wow, it's true." But yeah, like I see ghosts the way I see people. I hear them the way I hear people. It's not always when a client is talking to me. Sometimes I will go to the supermarket and I will see entities attached to people. It's just like it's a very real thing. You're just gonna keep calling me. So the thing about it is that you do have to train yourself to have to have the difference between the I. So like while I'm talking to you, I can't be like, this is something.
Right.
Like I can't do that, right? Over time you get used to seeing it. But there's tons of different things like the house that I live in. A gentleman died upstairs prior to the current landlord that owns this building. Hold on one second for me, please. All right. So when I came into this house, it was very weird for me. Like I felt very uneasy. Even to this day, I have a 8-year old that will not sleep in his bedroom. All my kids are also mediums, so they can see things as well. Um, and sometimes like in mirrors, because ghosts like to use mirrors a lot. So sometimes in mirrors, you can see the reflection of the ghosts. They like to hang around bathrooms because bathrooms have mirrors, and bathrooms are a place of like elimination and cleansing. So it's actually a lot of people don't know like the bathroom door should always stay closed because that's where the soul is the most vulnerable. You're taking a shower, you're naked, you're eliminating waste, things like that. So the door should always stay shut. And we see it all the time. I try not to be outside after a certain hour because certain entities do come when the veil is thin, like 3 in the morning, things like that. So yes, I do have tons of paranormal experiences. Maybe more so than the average person because I am a medium. So in the spiritual realm, or what they call the ethereal realm, the astral realm, to other spirits, I look like a bright light. Like, oh, a telephone. Let me go and try to use her as a way to get to the other side or a way to communicate with the other side. Um, I meet people and I'll be like, hey, do you know this person with this name that dresses like this, that wears this? They said this. And people would be like, oh, that's my grandmother. Or I had a dream the other day. My best friend, her grandfather and her grandfather's brother came to me in my dream. Now, my best friend lives in Texas. I've never met her grandparents. She's never met her grandparents. Um, they died a long, long time ago. But I described to her what they look like, and she was like, "Oh, but why would they be communicating with you?" Oh, cause from the other side, I look like a two-way. So
Right.
they want to communicate with me and send messages through me. So I have those
Mm.
experiences all the time.
Wow. That's funny you say that. So this picture behind me, right, is my brother who I lost a few years ago. He actually transitioned on my daughter's sweet 16th birthday. And I remember because I designed it, so I just kind of tilted a little bit so you could see it. I remember
Hmm.
when I first designed it, the picture just seemed too real. Like, and sometimes like I had to take it off because I would look at that picture and I almost feel like my brother was coming through it. Like it just seemed too real. And I know some people didn't understand that. And I was like, okay, what is this? I started to ask God, like, okay, why is this happening? Like, but I truly felt like that was him attempting to communicate, and I could be wrong, but to what you're saying, like, sometimes we can't be so scared. We want to embrace it and just kind of see, because it could be a warning, it can be a sign of something that can keep you from going through another situation. You just never know,
Yeah.
right? Right. So, so your parents, are they also psychic mediums? Like, have they had any experiences, or it just kind of started with you?
So my family is from Jamaica, so naturally, our country is very spiritual. Um, my mother's side is a little bit more different because my mother she's mixed, so she's not just Jamaican. She's like Irish, Assyrian, and Jamaican. So everybody in my family is Christian. Okay, so they don't really like what I do, but they don't like the path that I've taken with it. They wanted me to stay in the church and do like the prophet thing, and not for me. But I think it's funny because no matter what religion or no matter what belief system that you subscribe to, my mom, like the women in my family, you can't lie to them. You can't, you can't, because they know. They always know.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just come up to me. I remember one time my aunt came up to me. She's like, "You pregnant with a boy?" I was like, "I'm not even pregnant." Come to find out, I was pregnant.
Mm,
Um, so it's just I do believe that it has been passed down on the maternal side of my family, but you know, I say unfortunately for me because I had to kind of break the link and find my own way with the gift. But the my family members, they're like hardcore Christians. So they're never gonna be like, I'm psychic. They're never gonna be like, I do magic. But they do it all the time. They speak something, it happens. Or they have a dream or a vision and it occurs. So it's like, does it really matter religion? Is it really about the religion? Or is it just about who we are as like beings on a spiritual level, the level of power that you have in the spiritual realm? So I feel like, religion, any dogmatic practices for that matter, is something to help guide you. You know, it sets
mm,
a moral standard, and I find that to be a beautiful thing. But as far as what lies beyond the veil in the astral realm,
mm.
um, that's what's more important. And as far as like my father's side of family, nah, they seem pretty normal. They be going to church. They don't do any like wacky spiritual paranormal things that I could pinpoint. Um, my dad's terrified of ghosts. When I come around, he don't want me to talk about none of that stuff because
Right.
it
And
freaks him out.
I think I think it's just some people, when you don't know something or you don't understand, or you see basically how it's been portrayed in society, a lot of people, think a lot of the practice is more like witchcraft, and
Mhm.
then not understanding that, they just like, oh no, they think it's just all the root to all evil, and I think
Yeah.
that's the part that people don't truly understand. But I feel like, sometimes we just have to have conversations, and it's not to deter anyone to believe either way. You
Mhm.
understand? But sometimes I do believe in the spiritual realm,
Mm-hmm.
And even when we leave this earth, we don't we return to the dust, but our spirit still lives on. So we're gonna be some of those spirits who are walking amongst and attempting to communicate with others as well. So people don't think about it in that manner. But that's kind of how my mindset goes. Because if energy doesn't die and it just transitions, so y'all don't believe that our ancestors are still amongst us and they're walking the face of the earth. I mean, I
Yes.
don't know, but again, I'm not here to deter anybody to believe either way.
I
And
died. I died, and let me
wow.
tell you, it was not one fun. Um, it's actually kind of boring, and I don't. I like it here, so I think I will definitely be hitting the reincarnate button every time. I will not be subscribing to staying in what people believe is beyond, because that's it. You're not in the material world anymore, so you're just energy, and energy flows. So to be in a place where you're just flowing in and out of different spaces, compared to the experience of actually being on Earth, I would choose Earth every time. Even though Earth does have like hardships, there's trials and tribulations here. It is really a beautiful experience. Like, I actually, truly, and fully and completely understand why the Creator made Gaia. Like, think about it. We have different hobbies. You got people that paint. You got people that sculpt. People like playing guitars, rollerblading. Your favorite. You like music, right? Your
Mhm.
favorite rapper. Like, these are things you could come here and you can create things and be something and be someone. And then there's an added benefit, if you so choose to have a child, you can experience the creation. This is a creator's world. So to be taken up out of here and just be float energy flowing in and out of different spaces, especially if your energy that's stuck between transitioning and the life that you used to have, which are the spirits and the ghosts that's I sometimes communicate with. It sucks to watch everybody just carry on. And I think that's also really why when you reincarnate as a child, you don't have the memory of your past life, because that would suck. Like, being born again and remembering the mom before the mom that you were born, that would throw a lot of shit all over the place. But I feel like with each reincarnation, you just get this experience, like, to become a better version of yourself. Like, that
Mhm.
piece of energy that is within you, it improves, it expands, it learns more, it edifies itself, it edifies others that it comes into contact with. So I just feel like being here like trumps being anywhere else. And I know that probably sounds crazy to everybody, because we were taught to believe that there's a heaven with gates and the city is lined with gold and diamonds, and but I did die, and that's not what it is. There's a lot of light there though too. There's tons of light there, but not that.
Wow. So, wow. I'm going to add this one part. I remember before my brother transitioned, we had a conversation, and it was a different type of conversation. He shared with me because prior to him actually transitioning, leaving this earth, he had a near death experience where he had to be revived multiple times, okay? Meaning that he literally died and was brought back, died and came back, like he lost life. And I remember him sharing with me that everybody, the world wanted him to be the Eddie that they remember before the accident, before all of that happened. He was like, when he came back, he wasn't the same Eddie, and people couldn't understand that. You understand? And so he was battling within himself. He definitely was battling within himself, and just some people couldn't understand him, and just the way he verbalized and he termed it. And not only that, like my nephew, he is so wise beyond his years. Okay, and I feel like just their relationship, it was something special that you don't really see a lot. You understand? I'm very close with my girls, but they had something different. You understand? And I feel like my brother was preparing him for what he knew was gonna come. You understand? So my nephew actually helped me through the situation because I went through a major depression when I lost my brother. For one, I'm the oldest of my siblings and never lost a sibling before he transitioned. And it was like he was living with me as well. He was living with me and my children. And one day he was here, the next day he wasn't. It happened literally the day after Super Bowl. So my daughter, Birthday was the literally the following day. Super Bowl was on February 2nd, 2020, and then February 3rd, the first call of the day. It was about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I get my mom calling me, telling me my brother was gone, and I had actually thought she was speaking about one of my other brothers. I had 3 brothers and 1 sister. So I'm like, cool. And I called out my 2 other brothers' names, and she said no. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, so you cannot be talking about my brother Kane. You know, he liked to go by Kane. And it's like I felt every emotion in my body, like everything that you could feel, I felt it at that moment. My body went through trauma. Like, not only did I go through the emotions, I felt the emotions. You understand? So just having that conversation with him, and he was just saying, like, that's the problem. People are so afraid to die that they don't live. And that's why you have to
Yep.
continuously live every single day as if it's your last day, because you just never know how much time we're going to have here on this earth. And he was like, when I die, I don't want people just crying and doing all this. I want, people to continue to live life, because that's what we should be doing here, and stop operating in fear. And that conversation stuck with me so much. I remember it like Barbados. And this was literally 1 month prior to him actually leaving. So wow, it's just crazy how you have these type of experiences, and then you really think back on it like, wow, like he probably saw some things that we didn't see and didn't understand.
They tell you when they depending on where he went when he had that near death experience. There's certain because heaven means sky, right? So there's certain levels to the sky, and depending on where he went, everybody goes to a different level, and for different reasons. Don't mistake the word level for like chain of command at all, because you could be at the 13th level, but then you can go to the 5th level because there might be something there that you need. So the whole that's not a hierarchy, so to speak, when it comes to souls transitioning. But I will say this, you know um from being over there and then being here, because I died when I was 7 months pregnant with my second child.
Mm.
I had a machine keeping me alive because I was pregnant, so they were going to deliver the baby, and I don't know what my husband was going to do with me after that. But
Mm.
um from being over there and then being here, I'll say this: it's a very complex experience that's here on earth. And I think the number one heartbreaking experience about being on earth is no one really no one really knows about the other side. They all everybody sees is this: what they can see, what they can touch, what they can smell, what they can taste, what they can hear, and only what they can interact with is real to them. But that, like, it will blow you away if you really knew what was up. Like, you see how the metaverse is about to come into play. From being a ball of energy and being inserted into the earth realm, this typically is already a metaverse. This is already a VR system. You're already having a VR experience. So it's kind of redundant to me to create a VR and go in there. Like, this is the experience. This is the world. This is the place where you can create. So I just really hope people don't take it for granted. Like, even just in our relationships, like your brother, when he incarnated in this life cycle, he was your brother. You may both reincarnate in another life cycle, and he may be your best friend that you meet in the hallway or at the cafeteria, and you might say to them, "Man, it felt like we knew each other forever." You ever meet somebody, you be like, "Yo, I feel like I knew you all my life," because you have known them all of your lives, many, many lives, and you stay with your soul tribe. So you will see him again. He just won't have the same name and he won't have the same body. But when y'all come into contact, you're gonna feel that. You're gonna know that's your brother. You're not gonna know how, because your mind is gonna be like, "Well, we not a part of the same family. We don't got the same blood." But if you can hold on to, because you do hold on to some of your past life memories, so if you can hold on to what you know and what you've learned about this life, right, and you bring that into the next, trust me, you're gonna always remember your people. You're gonna always remember them. You never forget them.
Mm.
You're gonna always remember them, right? Because if when I used to read the Bible, which I still do sometimes, because like I said, it does have very good moral standard. So it says, set up your treasures in heaven and not on earth, right? So set up your treasures in heaven. It's allegorical. The things that you hold near and dear to you should always be in heaven. So heaven is as above, so below, right? So what's above when you think about the body? The things you meditate on. So
Mhm.
let the things that you think about and the things that you meditate reside with you always mentally, because what the brain perceives is accepted and rejected by the spirit that drives the vehicle. So what you're meditating on, what your spirit is allowing to continue to exist in the mind, is what will carry over into the next life. So every
Oh,
time you reincarnate, it'll go with you. So if you remember your brother, you remember your children, you remember your goldfish, like it also has a soul. You will, every time you reincarnate, you will run into these people where they're, you just, why are you so familiar, and wow, you came in the nick of time, and what a
or when
coincidence.
random people come to you and be like, I know you from somewhere, and I be saying like, what the hell? Like, it happens so much. It just be weird sometimes, but it's just like, and they be so adamant, like,
Yep.
I know you, I do, I know you, and I be like, probably in some lifetime, I don't know, probably one
Yeah.
this one, I don't know,
Yeah.
like, I can't tell you if you know me or not, but
And you just in a new
wow,
avatar. But if you look at your natal chart, everybody has a time that they were born. So if you go and you get your birth chart done, right? Like me and my significant other, when we lined our birth charts up together, it was so freaking spot on. It was scary. If you were to line up your natal chart with someone else that you met, it's called the synastry chart. When you take two together and put them on top of one another and see what aligns, and each planet and each house and each star system has a different definition and a meaning. And when you start seeing the way that, when they say when the stars align, like that's not a joke, that's serious. When you really see how things line up, it's insane. It'll like blow your mind. That's when you're gonna start saying to yourself, okay, there's gotta be more to this. And that's how I felt when I transitioned from the religious path to the spiritual path. And ever since I've been on the spiritual path, I feel like I remember my spiritual life, and I remember to connect with my higher self more than when I was in the religious vibe. Because the religious vibe, it always felt like reprimand. But now it's like I'm learning how it's important to incorporate that in my life consistently so that I could experience prosperity.
absolutely.
So yeah.
So, you all, we want to invite you all. We're going to have a question and answer section in Clubhouse. So, if you are available and if you would like to tap in, and also follow our sister, okay, Roeh Love, and that's ROEH as in Harry Love on all social media platforms, Instagram. You can go to her link in her bio to connect. If you want a one-on-one session with her, the information is available. You can connect with her on the OWL app, okay? So, yes, that's where we met on OWL. And of course, when you download, find her or either myself. I know my referral code is loyalty. She can also give you her referral code, like hit her in her back channel, and we can show you all how to also join the OWL app. And it's a great platform, and I'm telling you, you don't want to miss out. When you put in that referral code, you will get that $10 bonus. So make sure you be very intentional about that. And man, let's continue to grow. But we want you all to join us on Clubhouse. Once you join Clubhouse, make sure you come to the Loyalty and Friends house on Clubhouse and join the conversation, okay? QA style question and answer. You got a question, we got an answer for you, all right? So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this session. Thank you, Roeh, once again. This has been amazing. Wow. And I'm getting to know you more and more, Queen. So, I love that part about it, right?
Me
So,
too.
1 minute, you all, we are going to be counting down and we're going to be ready to go, okay? See y'all not next Friday because I will be at the Bowling Awards. If you are in Atlanta, Georgia, okay, if you are in Atlanta, Georgia, or if you want to come to the Bowling Awards, definitely tap in. You can go to the Bowling Awards.com, okay, again, the Awards.com, and purchase your ticket. It is an amazing award show to really highlight those who don't get recognition. I will be the starting host, the MC, okay, starting host, and I will be introducing our special host for the evening. And also our brother EA, as y'all know him, Allen will be in the building speaking about mental health. We will have a lot of different talent, different people performing, special guest speakers, all the above. So join us in the first one, okay? You can only be part of the first one time. All right. With that being said, you all, I want to thank you all so much for joining us. And we're signing out because we got to get on Clubhouse. All right. Later. Bye.